So just wanted to welcome everyone to our first event for Latinas in Tech for the NYC chapter. This is our first event for 2021, and we are excited to be able to partner with Bloomberg to bring you this panel with diverse Latinas to discuss their career trajectories in engineering and global data at Bloomberg. We would really like to thank Bloomberg for partnering with us to sponsor this amazing event. And for anyone who's new to Latinas in Tech, or this is your first event, our main goal here is to support and empower our Latinas in the tech industry. And we want to focus on the three main pillars for us, which was professional development, recruiting, mentorship, and to provide more opportunities to our members and our communities across the board. So if you want to become an LIT member or stay up to date with us, you can register through the link you see on your screen in www.latinasintech.org/register, and you'll be able to find more information there. And just some quick housekeeping. On the left-hand side, you'll be able to find navigation menu to take you from room to room. So reception, main stage, networking, and each of the expos. And you'll see a red now label when the rooms are open and live. So to communicate with each other, we want to make sure that we're using the event chat exclusively and not the staging chat. That way we can keep track of what everyone's communicating. So Hopin is a relatively new platform for us. So if you have any issues, please send a direct message to the LIT staff and we'll be happy to help you. So the panel is going to take place on the main stage and it will be recorded. So once you head over to the networking part of the session in the expo rooms, HR, engineering, global data, those will not be recorded. And now on to our fantastic panelists. I'd like to introduce you to our panelists and our moderator, Juliana Rodriguez, product manager at Bloomberg, who will be introducing each of the panelists further. So here are our Bloomberg panelists that you'll be able to have a chance to listen to. And we would just like to thank you again. We're really happy to discuss, and we're looking forward to, opportunity for you guys to network with the Bloomberg team in the expo rooms afterwards. So I'll hand it over to Juliana.
Thank you, Betty. Could you let me steal that screen share?
I would love to.
All right, let's get started. All right, well, thank you again for the intro, Betty, and for having us here today. We're all super excited to tell everyone about what we do at Bloomberg, our careers, and our Latinx ERG. I'm Juliana. It's a pleasure to be here today. I'll be moderating our panel. You'll see all of the names of our panelists on this slide, and you'll get a formal introduction very soon. But first, I want to tell you about Bloomberg. All right. So in short, we're a financial technology provider, and we've been around for nearly 40 years, and we've seen a lot of change in the financial industry. The Bloomberg Terminal is a software that brings together real-time data on every market, breaking news, in-depth research, powerful analytics, communications tools, and world-class trading execution capabilities. We're constructing the world's most trusted information network for financial professionals, turning billions of data points into meaningful answers. In short, and what you see on this slide here, to summarize, the Bloomberg Terminal is a software that delivers a diverse array of information, news, and analytics to facilitate financial decision-making. Now let's take a look at Bloomberg by the numbers. So we're a technology company headquartered in New York City. We were founded in 1981. And we have over 325,000 subscribers worldwide. These are our clients. We have approximately 20,000 employees in 167 locations throughout the world. And we have more news reporters than the New York Times, Washington Post, and the Chicago Tribune combined. Bloomberg technology by the numbers. So we have over 6,500 software engineers. We have 200 plus technologists and data scientists devoted to machine learning. And we run one of the largest private networks in the world. You'll see more stats here about the billions and millions of data points and stories that we ingest. But we have news content from over 125 sources. And we have over 1 billion messages and instant Bloomberg chats that we handle daily. Now, we had instant messaging before AOL Instant Messenger. To give everyone a lay of the land of what technology looks like at Bloomberg, our technologists are spread across several different departments supporting various products. Now, our 4 main ones where technologists are here on this slide. So our largest department is engineering, and they're responsible for building and advancing new solutions for the Bloomberg terminal and our wider suite of products. Then we have our global data department, who's responsible for driving data into meaningful answers and produce the algorithms, research notes, and analysis that fuel all of our products. So our panelists will be joining us from these 2 departments. And then we also have technologists across our UX teams and our chief technology office. So now I'll stop sharing my screen and you'll get to meet all of our wonderful panelists.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Juliana, for a good intro right there. Nice to meet everyone. I'm Ori Cifuentes. I'm a team leader within global data at Bloomberg. I attended the College of New Jersey where I studied economics, and I've been with Bloomberg a little over 2 years now.
Hello, everyone. My name is Maria Javier. I'm a software engineer working in the telemetry department here at Bloomberg. I've been here for a little bit over 1.5 years. I went to Columbia University and studied computer science.
Hi everyone, I'm Cindy Titus. I'm a software engineer in the Trade Automation and Execution Group. We build applications that allow people in the finance industry to trade and view analytics on their orders. I joined Bloomberg 4 years ago as a senior hire. I was born in Mexico, but I grew up in Florida, and I studied film and digital arts at Dartmouth College in New Hampshire.
Hi everyone, my name is JD. Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry, there's feedback. Hi everyone, my name is JD. I've been at Bloomberg for 5 years. I went to Cornell University, majored in policy and analysis, which is really statistics and economics. I shortly after graduation joined Bloomberg as a data analyst. I am now a software engineer in the engineering department.
Thanks all. And to round it out, I'm Juliana, born and raised on the Lower East Side of Manhattan, New York City. I went to Babson College. I'm Puerto Rican. I've been at Bloomberg for 10 years. I started in recruiting for engineering, and now I'm a product manager on the engineering CFO team. I'm also the co-lead of our Latinx ERG at Bloomberg, which we'll tell you tons more about soon. And now I'm going to ask everyone to go a little deeper. So please share with us all what you do and what does your team do at Bloomberg.
Sure. I think my team is really fun because if you've heard of the S&P 500, that's our golden ticker that we cover. So only that, but our team also covers a lot of custom indices along with the fixed income offering. So definitely, if you all have a 401k, my team helps make sure that data is up on the terminal and running smoothly. So global data is definitely a big component of helping the entire terminal ecosystem run as fast as possible.
So I work in telemetry. We collect a whole bunch of data, mostly in the form of logs and metrics from applications throughout Bloomberg Engineering. Then we give you tools like dashboards, for example, that help you analyze the data in a more meaningful way. We also help provide alarming tools so that you can set up alerts based off some event of interest. So for example, if your application crashed or restarted, for example, instead of your client finding out first, an engineer would be notified so that they can log in and fix the problem right away.
On my team, we build financial products. I am currently leading an initiative to design and build a framework that defines cross-system interactions between distinct financial trading applications in Bloomberg. The goal is to integrate all of the different trading system technologies into one so that we can build things once and all trading systems can benefit from the rich analytics and resources that we develop.
Cool. My team is actually in developer experience. So we work on building tools to help automate and streamline development workflows across engineering. Specifically, we work on a developer hub and automating CI and CD across the company.
Cool. So I'll go last. I have a dual role right now. I'm on the engineering CFO team where I look after all engineering related headcounts, and I'm also on the COO team where I'm a part of the work management and productivity tools team, and I'm the product owner for our firm-wide reporting tool where we capture the portfolio of work. And I'm also the product manager owner setting the design and strategy for our internal headcount management tool as well. So thank you all for those intros. Now we're going to jump into our topics for today. So first, we want to hear about your career paths and mobility. I have a question for Maria. One of the key questions we get as women and women of color is how you got into the field. So how did you get into tech, and what motivated you to pursue a CS/tech degree?
Okay, so my career path was definitely not as straightforward as I thought it was going to be. I was a junior in high school when I had gotten a newsletter about a summer program called Girls Who Code, and I didn't really think anything of it. I just really loved trying new things, and I had never coded before. But through Girls Who Code, I was surrounded by a lot of supportive women in tech, which I think is what makes the program really amazing. More CS curriculum should center around creating more supportive environments where you're motivated to help each other. And computer science definitely wasn't something that came really easily for me. And looking back, I think the environment I first started to learn how to code was very crucial to me. After completing that program, I stayed in touch with a lot of the women that I had met. So when things did get hard in college, and even after that, I had people that I could lean on. Girls Who Code also provided me with a huge network afterwards. It's how I actually was connected to Bloomberg through another affiliate association, the National Center for Women in Technology. And I feel like it's important, and it just goes to show how communities like Girls Who Code, NCWIT, and even Latinas in Tech are important, is because they help support more women growing in this field.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that supportive story. Our next question is for JD. So how has your role evolved over time, and how have you navigated our flat structure?
Yeah, so I was actually thinking about this earlier, and I realized that I've been in my 5 years at Bloomberg on 5 different teams, which is kind of crazy, but I think definitely, and probably not common, but definitely speaks to the sort of mobility opportunities at Bloomberg. I started off as a data analyst, as I mentioned earlier, and this is actually how I sort of got into tech. I started to realize a lot of the processes that I was working on in my day-to-day could be dramatically improved and made more efficient through technology. Eventually, I upskilled just by sort of like self-teaching and taking courses. And at Bloomberg, I had the opportunity to transition to a data engineering role within the data department. There, I sort of started to dig deeper into tech and sort of write Python microservices and write production code, and also deal with sort of big data. I learned the suite of sort of technologies to deal with big data. And then I recently now moved into engineering. So I think although Bloomberg does have a flat structure, I definitely have the opportunity to challenge myself by switching teams often, and being sort of put out of my comfort zone, and because I had the opportunity really to learn these skills on the job as well as outside the job. But it was great to sort of be able to apply the skills that I learned in my new roles and continue to be challenged.
Yeah, I often hear that Bloomberg is not really a ladder, it's more of a lattice. So you've definitely shown that by hopping around from one team to another and using your skills to the most. So Ori, we want to hear from you as a team leader. How have you led your team through change, and how do you provide growth and stretch opportunities for members of your team?
Yeah, definitely. I think especially the fact that we're all filming this from the comfort of our homes, change is not a foreign thing to all of us anymore. So I think team leads really at any company were kind of tasked for really 2 things I think I really wanted to bring to the table, which was flexibility more than ever, regardless of whether, you're taking care of parents, pets, children, whatever the case may be. I think, being there and being flexible is not only just Bloomberg culture. I think it's also the open door policy that we tend to have as a company. And then second, I think with that is consistency. So I always provide platforms for my team on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, where we can at least see each other, and try to share ideas and continue working together collaboratively. And I think that's a nice way for people to just get a sense of what to expect when everything else tends to be unexpected. And I know especially for our new hires, they came in and got remotely onboarded, which was definitely a first, I think, for many managers. So for them, it was actually not only check-ins in the morning, but an end of day wrap and just bringing everyone together and, seeing how things went, any outstanding questions, and really helping them kind of network virtually with as many people as possible. So I think I tend to split things into two categories for our newer hires and then for our tenured senior people. Both have very different ways how they can develop at Bloomberg. And I think just being there and being a really good listener is the best way to, lead a team and figure out, I'm always asking, how can I be helpful? And in that case, I tried to spread that regardless of how long you've been at Bloomberg, either connecting the dots or making intros. So definitely, I think hopefully that's been helpful to my team. And I think if anything, everyone's still in a flux and transition. So we're all just working through it.
Yeah, I hear you on that one. That's really supportive and excellent of you. We're lucky to have you as team leader. Okay, so shifting gears, we're going to talk about our own successes and accomplishments. Question for Cindy. Studies show that women are less likely to self-promote and or talk about their successes. What is a project or something you've completed in your role that you're proud of?
So I will have a lot of details for this one. I'm particularly proud of it. About I think like a year or two ago, my team was migrating onto a new platform. Our UI framework was not very extensible, and we needed to incorporate knowledge for a new trading system. So I designed the new framework to make this integration possible, and then I created a code generator to automate the work of adding new features. Suddenly, we were in a situation where we had to finish what would have taken 6 years, in my approximation, in 6 months. And we had 12 different teams join the project, anywhere from like 1 to 6 months. And the cost of onboarding aside, the prognosis is like pretty grim about these types of situations for finishing on time. However, because of our code generator, it made it so easy to write the features that we easily onboarded developers and we completed on time. Then recently, I took this work a step further and created a code generator for the entire framework, not just the features. And the results were even more impressive. We migrated a new team onto the platform in only 2 weeks, and 2 people successfully migrated 12 features in 2.5 months. So that was like pretty astounding.
Wow, that's awesome. I'm all about the time saving. I'll share a time saving story from my end here too. So I'm really proud of a feature that I designed to automate the generation of a ticket from our primary headcount data tool. So at Bloomberg, a lot of requests here run on tickets. So I own our headcount data information tool. And when managers want to make changes to headcount information, they need to remember which ticket they need to request this type of change. So I designed an editing mode within the tool where these changes could be made inline in the data source, and then the appropriate ticket is auto-generated to execute on these changes. It's a small time save, similar to, not as grand as your story, Cindy, but it's a small time save, and we added transparency by also ensuring all of the appropriate stakeholders are added to those tickets. So it's the time saving and better transparency for all of our managers. Moving right along here, next we want to discuss our involvement with the Latinx Employee Resource Group here at Bloomberg. So at Bloomberg, our employee resource groups or business resource groups, ERGs, BRGs, whatever you like to call them, here we call them communities. So we're all a part of the BLC, which is the Bloomberg Latinx community, and BLC Tech, which is our tech-focused arm of the Bloomberg Latinx community. So this question is going to be for everyone, and we'll start with Ori. Why is being in a community important to you? And what is one benefit or multiple that you personally found as a member of your community?
Yeah, I really love this question just because I think I joined as many communities as possible within probably my first month at Bloomberg. And I think the really great thing about our communities are that you don't have to be directly affiliated with any community. You can also just join just because you're interested in either, the events, the culture, just to learn more. And I think specifically the Latinx community was honestly one of the most welcoming ones in the Princeton office. And it was really great to see the types of events that were always put on. I know they had, a really great yearly event that we call the World Cup, and we actually, get a field and people get into teams. We get really fancy and we get t-shirts all around. And it's just a really nice way to bring people together. And then obviously, it's really nice to just have a shoulder to lean on when you actually have, a work question and you're not, left in the dark. You actually have someone that that you can go to.
Maria, how about you?
Yeah, for me, being in a community is important to me because I'm able to receive the support that I'm needed in order to do well on my day-to-day job. So like I mentioned before, this was my first job out of college, so the transition was very difficult. I was always questioning whether or not I was doing things right. I had trouble figuring out who it was okay to talk to. I was also just having trouble meeting people. I'm the type of person that will go to a networking event and then stay for 30 minutes to show face, and then I'll leave after to go home to my cats. Not just because I don't like networking, but it's just hard for me to meet new people. But I had went to enough BLC events that I had the courage to talk with Juliana about how I was feeling. And then she was able to introduce me to a whole bunch of Bloomberg engineers. And through those connections, I was able to join BLC Tech and become a part of the committee. And thinking about it now, most of the connections that I've made outside of my actual job or my day job has been through both BLC and BLC Tech. And in and of itself, it has brought me opportunities to actually create events. So being in a community for me is a chance to improve my workplace environment, not just for me, but for everyone.
For me, being part of a community is really important for personal growth. I think there's a lot of things that I'll push down or I won't really think about until you join a community and someone will bring it up and they'll mention like, oh, have you noticed our bathrooms are always like there's no one ever in the female bathrooms, right? Like they're always empty, or things like that, where it kind of makes you stop and think, and you're like, oh yeah, the men's bathrooms are always busy, or or maybe I think even just like personal struggles or different things, even like culture differences, it just like highlights them and makes me think about it. For example, I was taught not to make eye contact because it's considered like threatening, right? And whereas in the workplace, it's considered a sign of trust if you look someone in the eye. So even just like those kinds of culture differences were something that were brought to the forefront in these communities, and like I guess helped me have a better picture of who I am and my place in the community and in the workplace.
Yeah, actually segueing off of that, I think that especially joining the BLC Tech community and BLC community in general, I realized that people in those communities, we may have a shared experience and perspectives that on the whole may not be exactly the same or as similar as to, what the rest of our colleagues or the wider company may have experienced. And for me, joining these communities really has sort of helped me and allowed me to bond with my colleagues much better. And it's provided me a wider sense of community and belonging at work, which is great.
That is definitely great. For me, a benefit of being a part of the community is being able to listen to our community members. As the co-lead, I feel a responsibility to represent everyone. I listen. My eyes and ears are always on the ground. I'm always connecting people when I know they have shared or common interests, or someone wants to learn more about another department. I feel like I have the influence and the power to help drive programming that's, like Maria said, plan events and drive programming to support our mission of recruiting, retaining, and developing our Latinx talent here at Bloomberg. So I feel like a real representative of our power and our collective voice, which is important to me because I can help drive change and we can plan those events and programming that's really meaningful and supportive to us, and for our needs. All right, so we're coming up on the last 5 minutes, and this is the last question for our panelists. So what is one piece of advice you can share about succeeding in your field and or at Bloomberg? Ori, we're gonna start with you.
Sure, yeah, and I love this question because I think really any advice from our wonderful panel can apply to any company, but I think especially at Bloomberg, we're really big on collaboration. So my advice would be using that to your advantage and networking strategically. I think because we're such a collaborative company, definitely everyone you meet, everyone you work with, you never know when you're going to work with them again. So it's really important to build really strong bonds and also try to be memorable where you can and help each other out because it can really go a long way.
For me, it's to try and form good habits that keep you disciplined when it comes to learning about different things in your field. Motivation can only get you so far, and it's not always consistent. And it's okay to be tired, that's normal. But when you start creating habits and automatic behaviors, you can reach your goals even when you're tired and not feeling super motivated.
I think it's really important to seek out different perspectives. It can change the way you view yourself and your goals. For example, I hear quite a lot of women say, I've applied to 20 to 40 companies, but no one will hire me. I'm probably not good enough, or I'm thinking of giving up. However, men in the same situation will say, like, don't cry till you hit 300. And it's just a numbers game. You got to keep practicing, and you only need one company to say yes. And these are two very different perspectives on the same problem. And it can be really eye-opening, and there's a lot of good lessons to be found.
Yeah, for me, I would say that probably at the beginning of my career, I always took sort of not knowing the answer to something or maybe having to ask for help on a project as an indicator. Like I took it personally as sort of like an indication of my personal abilities or my intelligence. And I think that's something that can happen a lot, especially to junior developers generally, but also to women in a predominantly sort of male industry. So I think my advice is to realize that, you know, not everyone has the answers. You're not expected to have all the answers. You can ask questions, especially in a field like tech. And I think once you sort of realize and understand that, you'll feel more confident and empowered to succeed in the field.
Love that. Thank you all for sharing that advice. And then I'll go last. So my advice is going to be cliche, but I'm going to say join a community, join your ERG, VRG, or equivalent, especially if you're at a larger company. So I think as a part of an ERG here at Bloomberg, I've been able to deepen my understanding of what the company does and gain insights and new inspiration from other community members who work across a variety of departments. Often we work with our teams, we work with our sister teams, and we're wrapped up in our day-to-day so much that we don't really know what else is going on in other departments. So I'm grateful to have met so many new people and have made connections across the firm through joining our Latinx ERG. So that would be my advice. Join a community. And does anyone have any final words before we wrap up? No.
Look forward to seeing everyone in our breakout rooms. I think we have a ton of working opportunities and really cool to meet all of you.
Cool. So in summary, I hope you all joined today's panel. I wrote down a lot of notes, so we're walking away with so many wonderful pearls of wisdom. I'll read off a few of my bullet points. So we talked about trying new things. We talked about surrounding yourself with supportive people in a very supportive environment. Remember to upskill. You can teach yourself new things, new skills that you can take on to your next team. We talked about flexibility. We talked about consistency that's provided by your team to help you thrive. Joining a community, communities provide support, communities provide comfort, communities provide answers. We talked about our personal growth. We talked about culture. We talked about in our advice session, the importance of networking and building strong bonds, forming good habits, seeking different perspectives. And remember, you're not always expected to know all the answers, and it's okay to ask questions and to ask for help.